Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Authentic Info Podcast. I'm your host, Adma Sandra. Now, there's a video that is making rounds of VIP protection unit, apparently belonging to their principal, Deputy President of the ANC and of the country, Paul Mashatile, who have been seen on the side of the road, apparently in N1, assaulting some polo drivers, and these are believed to be members of the army, SANDF. Now, a lot of opposing parties or opposing party leaders went all out to condemn the actions of VIP protection unit, calling them gangsters in police uniform and things like that. Even members of the public, we saw them through various social media platforms expressing their views and concern over that incident, stating that those members should be identified and dismissed. Others saying that they were doing their job because all of us currently do not know what is it that caused that. Did they identify some weak drivers on the road and start attacking them, pulling them to the side of the road and attacking them? Or what did the driver of that vehicle or someone inside that vehicle do? No, that commanded them to stop and compromise their principal if he was there. And that's another question. Was Paul Mashatile part of the convoy or not? Why did those guys stop to neutralize or diffuse the situation? I know most people don't like that when we say they were being neutralized. But is this the first incident of this type where VIP protection unit is seen dealing with motorists on the road? And what is it that causes that? That's another question. But apparently the developments are that suspension letters have been issued to these officials. And another information is that IPID is investigating the case, as the spokesperson of the SAPS has stated that they already internal investigations have been initiated, have started. Now, there are, according to my views, a lot of questions that we should ask ourselves before we follow the trends. Now, another question, are we sure that Ace Magashule was not there? Or are we sure that Ace Magashule was there? And who is it that actually decided or led, or who was leading to say, guys, let's take these guys on the side of the road, let's discipline them? And why did they come out with firearms? Why did they come out with rifles and pistols in hand? Understand? We don't know what caused that. But all we saw is that video clip. And in less than a minute, these guys were done and they left. And apparently one of the victims was left unconscious. So there are many questions that we can ask ourselves. And what does this mean to the ANC and its image? We have seen the Secretary General of the ANC condemning those actions. But how are these guys supposed to protect their principles? And another question is, how many ministers and high-profile politicians have we lost in the road? And we were never actually told or given closure as to what is it that caused such accidents. Because we know, I'm not saying that the VIP protection unit guys are wrong or they are right, but we know that there are some motorists who are stubborn. There are some motorists who will never give you a way, even if you are a member of the SAPS who's rushing to a scene. We've seen ambulances trying to alert motorists, but we see people being stubborn on the road, not giving an ambulance in a situation of emergency a road to drive to the nearest hospital or to the a scene of accident. We have seen that. So what is it that must happen if a person like deputy president is being delayed? Because that person has serious affairs to deal with of the state and that of the political party, even of his own family. But we don't know where they were rushing to. That information is not yet out. But opposition parties want heads to roll. So those actions are condemned. But my question is it the first of its kind? That is my question. Is it the first of its kind? Another question is, what is the name of that charge? Others say attempted murder. Why? Others say it's assault. Why? Because in private defense, there are many things that are looked at. Three major ones are defense of self, defense of others, and defense of property. But I think to get to the bottom of this is to at least have information at hand to understand what is it that caused the VIP Protection Services Unit to stop that polo and put it to the side of the road, open its doors and boot, remove everyone in there, attack them, and leave. I saw one of them opening the boot. Why did they open the boot? It means they were raising suspicions. So until we hear what is it that transpired before we saw that clip, I think we shouldn't exaggerate. But we've also seen the deputy president coming out to condemn such actions. But does he really mean that, or it's because he needs to protect the image of the ANC, looking at the fact that in next year we are going into elections? And how bad does this affect the ANC? These are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves. So if Deputy President Ace Magashule was there, why are we seeing cases that implicate him week after week? There's a case of him being linked to Edwin Sodi in the past week or two. This week, we wake up to another case of a VIP protection unit assigned to him, busy assaulting other road users. But another thing is that we need to understand the privileges that these guys have. For example, to drive above the prescribed speed limit and things like that. Sometimes to drive on the yellow line and to remove us on the road so that they can have way or access. But another thing is that they are allowed to handle arrest. But my question is, if they arrest someone, do they have to take them along in their convoy? Or they have to wait and delay their principal waiting for a van that will come from the nearest police station, which, by the way, might not be even there. We know the state of our SAPS. Their services is very slow, weak. So there are many things that needs to be considered, but I cannot say that it justifies them or it justifies their action. Their actions, yeah, they need to be condemned, but another thing that people are raising is that of minimum force. I even heard the spokesperson, national spokesperson of the police, speaking about the use of minimum force. But when you check the law, there's no dividing line between excessive and minimum force. Because, for example, if you slap someone once and they collapse or back off, and then you have to slap someone for 10 times and they don't collapse and they keep coming to you, what is the definition of minimum force there? To what extent are the actions of attack can be described as minimum force? Because I hear a lot of people saying they should have applied minimum force. And how do a group of people who are armed apply minimum force to a very small group of individuals who are not armed? Because we know that if they decide, or something which influenced them to decide to pull out or to come out of that vehicle with firearms, is that they did not want those guys to act otherwise. They were neutralizing them already by carrying those firearms with them. And when you check the Firearm Controls Act 60 of 2000, it will tell you that a firearm must be kept in a safe, in a holster. And other than that, it means it's in your hands. So there's no safe in a car. I'm 100% sure that there's no safe in those cars, firearm safe. They can be holsters in their persona. Like individually, they can have holsters. Which means if they don't have those, they are not carrying those firearms in their holster, the pistols in their holster, and the rifle has to always be in their position. So wherever they go, they have to carry those firearms. Because they also, it is common sense, it's common knowledge that you should ask yourself a question, that if you are driving a vehicle that is known to be of VIP protection and someone doesn't obey to what you say, what is it that they have? How many SAPS officials have we lost in the hands of criminals because they wanted to make the situation easy? They wanted to communicate first. The person come out shooting. Did we want to hear the news saying that Paul Mashatile VIP Protection Service members shot dead on N1? No. No one expects that. But when they come out to act, we're against that. And in South Africa, we're very disrespectful of towards the blue uniform. There's very few people who respect the police. It's only old people. The youth of today do not respect the police. How many videos are there of people insulting the police, telling them to arrest them, telling them to shoot them, sometimes even refusing to be arrested? But in situations where they act, we condemn them. We condemn them. So what type of SAPS do we actually want in South Africa? A one that is weak, a one that wakes up, goes to work, sign on duty, and then they go around eating fat cooks. They go around taking bribes. And then when they knock off, they go and sleep. After 2-3 years, they are fat cats, big tummies. Is that the SAPS that we want? Or want the SAPS that is militant? So in other countries, no one interferes with the security personnel or law enforcement officers. No one. I think it's all in South Africa, where if a police officer takes action, it is condemned. What does it mean joining the SAPS today? Does it mean that you join the SAPS to die? Because when you act in protecting yourself or your principal, you will be charged. Even the senior members within the SAPS will be the first one to condemn your actions, to take you down, to suspend you. And that time, people sitting at home, chatting, putting petrol to the fire, saying that they must be dismissed. Because if information is that Paul Mashatile was in that convoy, I am of the view that we shouldn't condemn them, because they were protecting their principal and they did not know what might happen after. They did not know how many people are accompanying those guys. Because until we hear this, the other side of the story, we cannot judge. I'm also giving my views. But I've seen the state taking a position to protect the interest of the political party, the ANC. They want to be seen to be doing good. But is it the right thing? And if those guys are not protected by their employers, who is going to protect them? If suspension letters have already been issued, what does it mean to those positions? Who's going to occupy them? Who else is going to act on attack? And what does it say on the security of Paul Mashatile? These are just my views. I can see IPID has already started investigating. Those guys are suspended. In the SAPS currently no one to speak about that case because investigations are underway. But guys, let's be realistic. Who is there to protect the police? If they are disrespected, we know that police are being killed. Police are being disrespected on the streets. But if they try to act, we condemn them. Who is going to protect the state tomorrow? Because after that incident, people are waiting for the results. SAPS members are waiting for the results. As soon as those people, for example, lose their jobs, who is going to protect us? No one is going to act, even in situations where they are supposed to. Because when they act, everyone turns their backs on them. Thank you for watching this episode. This is Authentic Info Podcast. I'm your host, Master. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that when I drop another episode, you're notified and you can view, comment. Let's engage. Share this link, the link to this video with friends via WhatsApp and other social media platforms. Let's engage. Thank you.